Hey everybody, Chip Collins, changing things up a little bit, coming to you from my home office here just to give you a mid-February update on what's happening in the market. And I also want to talk to you about insurance because I know we've all been talking about this hard insurance market that frankly is affecting not only the low country of South Carolina, but a lot of markets throughout the nation. And we've got some really good advice that we're bringing to you today on that. So quickly, let's talk about what's happening in the local market. The data through the end of January super promising. Number of listings is up about 17%, giving buyers more options, although there's still a relatively tight inventory out there. Pending sales are up about 8%, closed sales are up about 11%. And I got to tell you, here at Collins Group Realty, it has just been a firestorm of activity kicking off the year. We are still tracking on a deal a day. So we've got the number of units that we're engaged in is up 28%. The volume of business we've already done a year to date is already up 73%. So super excited, which means we're super busy. But we did take the time recently to sit down with Meg Herman at Goosehead Insurance, one of our favorite local insurance agents, to talk about the hard insurance market. This is an extended part of the video that I did that came out with our market analysis and sort of a year-end update with our video series. So if you haven't seen that market analysis, it's not too late to kind of get a good grip on what happened last year in 23 and the kind of steering factors of what we're looking at and are sort of already coming true here in 24. So check that out. But what I'm going to segue into is this video segment with Meg, where we talked about kind of the key components of if the number of insurance carriers is reduced, the premiums are going up, how do you mitigate your carrying cost of insurance, whether it's here in the low country or elsewhere? Some of it has to do with the insurance that you select and sort of unpacking or possibly packing the insurances that you do with a particular agent. So you need to be talking to your insurance advisor on that. Meg's got some great tips on that, so come take a look. Before Matthew came along, and when we really had very little, broad spread loss history in our area, people were feeling pretty stout about their insurance, and they like, well, how do I keep that premium manageable? Well, the inverse relationship is, well, you raise your deductible, right? I think that's kind of how the equation runs. But we saw some people that maybe got carried away with that a little bit and really built that deductible up. And all of a sudden the loss comes and they're like, well, you're effectively self-insured at a pretty high dollar amount. And I think that was a big sting. So are people doing that? Are you counseling people to kind of make sure that they're thoughtful about the real impact? Should they, I know you said you don't really want a loss, but the whole point about insurance is surrounding the scenario that you might. Right. So if that actually happened, are you prepared to carry that gap on a high deductible? Yeah,
it's a great question. I mean, at the end of the day, the point of this contract is to protect your assets, right? All of our assets, in the case that there's something very sudden and accidental that happens, and it can happen. You know what I mean? You can do all the risk management that you want. It makes you less likely, right? But a risk can, we happen to be in a place that has storms.
Yeah, sure.
It can happen. But I think the key thing for everyone is you need to find a person. Myself, I'm available, but a great insurance advisor, hopefully somebody local that can just walk through all these coverages with you and help you understand, like, this is there's a wind hail deductible, or you have a named storm deductible, or there's a better hurricane deductible. All these things are going to affect your net worth, right?
Yes.
In the event of this sudden and accidental event.
See, I really appreciate that transparency of slowing down and really talking about it, because I think that prior to Hurricane Matthew, when there were some losses in the area, people just bought insurance and they didn't even ask questions. And I think that it seems like it's a much more intensive program now. And so I appreciate hearing that, and I encourage people. I think obviously another thing that people can do is shop around, right? Like call different agencies and see what kind of carriers they have and access they have. And I think that landing on someone that ends up being as much of an insurance counselor now as opposed to just an insurance salesperson makes a lot of sense.
I like to, I frankly consider myself an advisor. I mean, I know a lot about insurance, and at the end of the day, I just like to give people good advice and make sure that they're doing a good job of caring for their assets.
Of course,
right?
Absolutely.
But that process, like there's like when you talk about risk, I mean everybody has a different appetite for risk. You know, I think it's good to bring that up. I may not be comfortable with the same level of deductible that you're comfortable with, or
Correct.
you know, we all got to sleep at night. But there's some coverages in there that might not be necessary for you. I'll just bring up one, for example, loss of use. Like so that coverage, if you have a covered loss and you have to move out of your house.
Yep, been there, done that.
Moved out of your house, and you've got to live somewhere else, and the policy has a coverage available for you to rent something else.
Sure.
But if you have a secondary home, you go to the secondary home, right?
Right.
Do you need this loss of use?
Right.
You know, maybe this isn't a coverage that, or at this point, could be somewhere where you could save a little. That makes sense.
So you can kind of peel it apart a little bit
Right.
and parcel it out and that sort of thing. And I think that, again, that's something that people haven't done before. Really appreciate your time and your insights, etc. And hope this has been helpful for you guys. Looks like it might be a promising year in 2024.
I think it's going to be a great year. I love being here, and delighted to help anyone who needs us.
Thanks. Thank you so much.